Right, hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Cruel War from the Mexican Grand Prix. And wow, that was a really good race indeed. Really good race. And yes, Max Verstappen, the winner once again. Whenever Kvyat gets dropped, Max Verstappen's right in there to take the win. So bring him back next race and then he can win at Abu Dhabi then, can't he, if you drop him again, Red Bull. But yeah, anyway, nonetheless, so Max Verstappen the race winner. And Lewis Hamilton is, of course, now the 2017 World Drivers' Champion of Formula 1. And a really undeserving way to do it, shall I say, but I'll get to him in a second. So, Max Verstappen qualified on the front row, P2, which was really good to see. A mega lap. Track record it was until Vettel went a bit faster, but there you go. And yeah, amazing move around the outside and then the inside and then around the outside again of Vettel at the first corner complex. And yeah, kept it clean and tidy. Didn't get involved in the action behind, did he? And that was it. Pulled away something like 20 seconds ahead of his nearest rival, Valtteri Bottas. So yeah, a good race, a dominant race by Max Verstappen. I'm so glad, I'm genuinely so glad that Red Bull are doing well now. And I'm so glad that Max is doing well after the shit season he has had. He deserves it, he really does deserve it. I'm so pleased for him, really am. So Max Verstappen, after an amazing weekend, once again, you are going to get another 15 points for Mexico. A great race by you, Max. Well done indeed, good stuff. Next up, Valtteri Bottas, P2, 20 seconds behind a Red Bull. Who'd have thought it, eh? Yeah, quiet race really. Avoided the turn 1, turn 2, 3, 4, whatever incident. Avoided that nicely and just stayed second, and that was it. Game over. Yeah, good race really, I suppose. It was a bit of a strange one, bit of a quiet race for Bottas. Ended up over 30 seconds ahead of Raikkonen, so in no man's land all race. His only friend was probably lapping traffic. But yeah, that was it, P2 for Valtteri Bottas. So an average race, qualified P4. Not a brilliant race by his standards, but not a bad race either. So I'm going to give him 6 points, I think. 6 points for Bottas to finish 20 seconds behind a Red Bull. Ooh, not great, is it? Next up, Kimi Raikkonen P3. And yeah, again, another lonely race. Kimi did benefit from the virtual safety car, however, the first driver to do so. Did a good strategy by the Ferrari team on the virtual safety car. Leaped him ahead of the... Was it the two Force Indias and someone else as well, wasn't it? I can't remember who else it was. Was it Stroll? I think it was Stroll. It was down in 6th anyway when the virtual safety car came out. And then obviously because they'd made their stops, he hadn't. It meant that unfortunately it was... it meant that unfortunately for the Force Indias and indeed the Williams car that they lost out heavily because they couldn't catch up. So yeah, but apart from that, I mean, you know, he didn't do the overtakes himself, he was really struggling. So Raikkonen, not your finest performance, but well done on the podium. Average race once again, so that deserves an average 5. Average 5 there for Kimi Raikkonen. Next up, Sebastian Vettel, and not champion this year, of course. Now mathematically impossible. Made contact with Hamilton at the start, which broke his front wing and gave Hamilton a puncture. What a dramatic start. I was loving it. Absolutely brilliant. And the charge through from Vettel was really good to see. Really enjoyed the scrapes and the battles throughout the field and him charging his way through. And then he got to P4 and he's like, how far ahead's Kim? He's like, 23 seconds. Oh, mamma mia. That was it. He knew it was over at that point, but nonetheless, he didn't give up until the end. And he applauded Hamilton at the end. But obviously, because of previous antics, he disqualified from the cruel wall. But nonetheless, a great drive by Vettel and a worthy runner-up to this championship, I must admit now. Didn't like him, obviously, after his antics at Baku, and then Singapore was just atrocious. But then you see this side of him, which is, you know, he pulled alongside Hamilton and applauded him. And, you know, Ferrari didn't do anything silly in letting him through on Raikkonen. You know, and it just sounded like he knew it was over, and hopefully the rivalry between Hamilton and Vettel next year can be back to a friendly one rather than this shit that happened after Baku, and we can have a good rival fight once again. Next up, P5 Esteban Ocon, so unlucky to miss out due to the virtual safety car, was running 3rd. Absolutely amazing effort by Ocon, and then obviously it lost out to Raikkonen as a result of the virtual safety car, and then Vettel in the latter stages in his charging Ferrari. But P5, nonetheless, a great drive. And now, for the first time ever on the cruel wall, I'm going to undisqualify a driver because that was a worthy drive, Ocon. You've been qualifying so well these last few races. P6 this time around as well, and finishing P5 and racing for a podium for God knows how long. And yeah, you'd have probably lost out anyway, but you know, it was great to see you up there for that amount of time and staying ahead of Perez and indeed Hülkenberg as well. So Esteban Ocon undisqualified from the cruel wall, and I'm going to give you 25 points because you've been undisqualified for a while now, and I think you've proved yourself. So 25 points for Ocon. He's not in the mix, but it puts him back in with a bit of a shout, I suppose, after the many races have been disqualified. Next up, Lance Stroll, P6, great drive. One of the drives of the day. Again, benefited as a result of the virtual safety car, but so did others. Qualified, was it 14th, I think it was? It was down there, but then the penalties put him up to about 11th after cars again. For fuck's sake. This penalty system, just draw a name out of the hat. Oh, you can start P1, you can start P2. It may as well be like that because it's that random now. So yeah, Lance Stroll P6, great drive to get to P6, splitting the Force India boys. And they often finish so close together, but he was in the middle of this time, he was in a Pink Panther sandwich. But yes, so we have got Lance Stroll, great drive by him, and I'm going to score him 9 points. 9 points for Lance Stroll, did a good race, very good race. Next up, Sergio Perez, after 2 pit stops, went on to the Ultra Softs after he got overtaken by Vettel and wasn't in any pressure from behind, so just went out there for a bit of speed and a bit of glory in front of his own crowd. Once again, was running as high as 5th at one stage after Hülkenberg's unfortunate retirement once again, and then slipped down to 7th as a result again of the virtual safety car. But nonetheless, a good race, and as well as Ocon, I'm going to undisqualify Perez as well. But Perez is only going to get 10 points because I think Ocon has been outshadowing him in the races that he has been disqualified for. So, good race for Perez, undisqualified on the cruel wall, 10 points. You're not in the mix, but, you know, I've undisqualified you. So, well done on that, I suppose. Yeah. Next up, K-Mag P8. This is what I mean about erratic. Pretty much qualified 18th and 19th on the grid, which was last, and only because Gasly couldn't qualify. And then they end up getting promoted to like 13th and 14th on the grid because of all the goddamn penalties, and then he goes and gets 8th. This is what I mean about Haas, just so erratic, absolutely mental in terms of their on and off pace and all over the place performances. And he's gone and got 8th. That is now 1 point within Renault's Constructors' battle in there. So I think Williams have pulled clear of that now. But yeah, I mean, a great drive. But the shit qualifying, and I just don't understand. I just don't understand Haas. I never have done, and I don't think I ever will. They've always been all over the place. But it's points, and it's nonetheless, and it's good. And he's nearly at the back of Renault now. They've nearly caught Renault in the Constructors after a poor showing this weekend by Renault. But nonetheless, Kevin Magnussen, you've gone from getting a -5 last time out, courtesy of Matt, to a solid 8 points. 8 points, well done. Next up, Lewis Hamilton, the 2017 champion. Not considering that for the cruel wall, though, of course. This is a separate championship, so well done on winning. But was it a good race by you? Not really. Not really, I've got to admit, it was a shite race by you, Hamilton. And Hamilton fans, you can hate me as much as you want, and you can say it's because you're not a Hamilton fan and this is why you're doing it. But let's just look at the facts and figures here. He got a rear puncture, unfortunate. It was a good, close, fair fight at the front, and it got a bit wrong. He pitted. I can appreciate it was further behind Vettel after he made his pit stop by about 15 seconds, I think it was. But he didn't charge through the field like Vettel did. He was stuck behind Sainz and a Sauber of Wehrlein for, God, must have been about 10 laps. And it's just like, come on, just stop being a defeatist prick. You know what I mean? And this is what winds me up about Hamilton. He was going to win the championship anyway, you know what I mean? But yeah, he's still miserable, saying, oh, did he do it on purpose? Did he do it on purpose? That was the first team radio he got from him all week. And it's like, no, he didn't. Why would he risk that? Why would Vettel risk that? Oh, but anyway, there'll be conspiracy theories out there, and I'm looking forward to the comment section getting a fucking earful from them. But, you know, if you carry on being knobs, he'll get more minus points on the cruel wall. But we had that incident. Then we had every 5 minutes like, what's happening? Where's he? Where's he? Who's doing that? I can't overtake. I can't do this. I can't do that. You're in the fastest car on the grid. And even if you're going to say he had rear floor damage, he's still faster than the Sauber. I'm sorry, he just is. That's just, you know, he could have 3 wheels and he'd be faster than the Sauber. So don't start that shit again. And also, as well, just to add, after he crossed the line and he won the championship, Vettel was alongside applauding him and trying to congratulate him, and Hamilton was having none of it. And that's a bit selfish as well in my eyes. That, and after the race as well, he couldn't actually complete a donut. He just sort of farted around, wheel spinning it a bit, but couldn't actually complete a full donut. So, you know, the only donut this weekend, I think, was Lewis Hamilton, because he was immediately defeatist and immediately wanted to try and blame Vettel for the incident, which the FIA deemed a racing incident. So that's my rant about Hamilton, but nonetheless, he is champion, so you can get over it, Hamilton fans. Get over yourself. This is the cruel war for a reason, and he had a shit race. He only got up to 9th. He only got up to 9th. Struggled to get past Alonso in a McLaren. Come on, you know, if that's not throwing in the towel, I don't know what is. So yeah, didn't provide his friends or family with much action, or indeed his fans. Didn't provide any of them with any action, just moaned on the radio all the time. He also had that moment as well where he asked who was on ultra softs, and because the team was trying to work it out while they were still on the radio, and I expect an answer. Oh, I apologise. Who are you? Who are you to call a team? So it pissed me off. It pissed me off that this is what we now defy as a hero of motorsport. You know, he might be the all-time greatest British champion, but you're not going to get greater champions than Nigel Mansell and Damon Hill, Jenson Button even. He's a down-to-earth bloke, but this guy's so far removed from reality. So that's my rant, but that's only about the race. That's only about the race, and you can call it all you want, Lewis Hamilton fans. Call me in the comments section all you like, because I don't care. So Hamilton, for his race, it's going to be 2 points, because it was shite. It was a shite race by Hamilton. Never seen anyone be so defeatist, even though you're still going to win the championship. Yeah, you might not win the race, but you're still going to win. So, you know, stop fucking moaning and get on with it. Next up, P10, Fernando Alonso put up a great fight with Lewis Hamilton and held him off for a couple of laps, and then eventually a Mercedes car got past, but good stuff nonetheless. Great racing from Alonso. A bit of a hard but fair move, I think, on Grosjean earlier in the race, making Grosjean's car a bit damaged, I would say. There's bits flying off it anyway. And then great battle with Hamilton, and unfortunately just lost out towards the end and secured P10. So great result, a point for McLaren Honda, and a solid weekend by Alonso standards. And unfortunately the penalties just pushed him all the way to the back of the grid again, and he's come all the way back up to P10. So good stuff, Alonso. And for your battling with Hamilton, not giving an inch, I'm going to score you. I'm going to give you 9 points. 9 points, well done. Well done, Alonso, good stuff. Next up, Felipe Massa missing out on the points, and Stroll's up there in 6th. Bit of a strange one for Massa. He stayed out there just on a one-stop strategy, and yeah, he lost out, I think, as a result of the virtual safety car, but to be in between a McLaren Honda sandwich, even though the Williams is off the pace, I expected it to be a bit faster. Stroll proved that this weekend, so Massa, is it uncertain for that Williams seat? It is. I don't understand where Massa's coming from at the moment. He wanted to retire last year, now he wants to stay on for next year. Really bizarre. But nonetheless, we'll wait and see who gets that seat at Williams. But this was not a strong showing by Massa at all. So Massa, you can get just a solitary 2 points as well, because I think it was a poor race, poor showing. The Williams should have got points, especially with Stroll all the way up there in 6th. Next up was Stoffel Van Dorn, and yet again started at the back with Alonso. I mean, Alonso finished 10th, which is a point, of course, but it's only 2 positions between the 2 cars, which isn't that bad for a McLaren team. Van Dorn obviously outshadowed this weekend, though, by Alonso, getting all the telly time battling with Hamilton, which Van Dorn really didn't do. But nonetheless, a strong showing by Van Dorn. Not the greatest race, though, this season for him, but I'm going to give him 5 points. A middle of the road 5, I think, there for Stoffel Van Dorn. Not a bad race, not the best race though. Next up, Pierre Gasly. After not really setting any laps in practice or qualifying, didn't do qualifying at all, and set 11 laps in all 3 practice sessions total. So was on the back foot definitely. Qualified whopping last and 20th, of course, and ended up the race in P13. Didn't really see much of him again, unfortunately. And yeah, one lap down and like everyone else, and just a bit of a shame really. Yeah, he had a couple of little battles here and there, but you didn't really see much of that because you were more focused on Vettel charging through the field and Hamilton whinging like a bitch. And yeah, so Pierre Gasly, a nice steady race, back on your return for Toro Rosso, of course, after you left to try and win the championship and didn't because it got cancelled off, and that's such a shame to lose it by half a point, that championship, and not be given the chance to fight. So unfortunate then in that respect. But in terms of the... where did I put him actually? I moved him. I put him down where Giovinazzi was because I thought Kvyat would come back, and then he went again, and oh Christ knows. But yeah, Gasly's down where Giovinazzi was now, so Gasly can have 6 points on his return to Toro Rosso. Still needs to get up to speed, I feel, but not a bad finish at 13th when you've only done 11 laps before the race. So nonetheless, Pascal Wehrlein, P14, 2 laps down. Outshone by Ericsson this race weekend without a shadow of a doubt, and was just off the pace and at the back of the grid all race long pretty much. So unfortunate for Wehrlein. Did do 2 stops as well, and yeah, what can you say really? Bit of a poor showing by Wehrlein standards, especially after what Ericsson was doing for so long before the unfortunate issue that he had. So Pascal Wehrlein, I should say, you're going to score just 3 points on the cruel wall. Just 3. Next up, Romain Grosjean, P15. Talk about erratic cars. One in the points, 1 down in 15th, and last of the finishers. 2 laps down behind a Sauber. Probably did get damaged. Well, he did get damaged. I noticed the barge board had fell off the side after the contact with Alonso early in the race as he battled to get past at turn 1. But nonetheless, a good race. Up until that point, I think he was ahead. I don't know actually. I think he was always behind Magnussen. They both qualified last, but unfortunately Grosjean stayed last. So not a good race at all, really, by the Grosjean Haas there. So yeah, outshone massively by his teammate this weekend. So Romain Grosjean, you're going to get 0. 0 points, Grosjean. You're all the way down there. Ericsson's up in 8th. Magnussen's up in 8th. Come on. Sort your shit out. Next up, Carlos Sainz, the last of the retirements, the first on this list of course, and unfortunately I think it was just retired due to it was at the back anyway. An unfortunate spin on lap 2 which we didn't have footage of, but that's what apparently happened. He was running 5th at that point as well. So yeah, an unfortunate spin there, and had to come in for his flat spotted tyres. Got stuck behind Wehrlein, again couldn't overtake a Sauber. And yeah, that was it. It was at the back for the entire race, and then I just think they retired due to a precautionary measure. 7th and 8th on the grid, which is the first time that the Renaults have ever done that since 2011. Or Lotus/Renault, whatever you want to call it. But nonetheless, a poor showing by Sainz after a strong qualifying, only 3/10 off Hulkenberg, I believe. The first time we've ever seen him racing pace for pace, you know, because obviously Hulkenberg didn't race at the US Grand Prix. And yeah, not a bad race by Sainz, who stays where Sainz is, and he's going to only get, I'm afraid, 4 points this weekend. Bit of a poor showing after a strong qualifying. Could have been so much more without that spin. Next up, Marcus Ericsson. Great race by Ericsson, and anyone can hold me to it. Fantastic race in my eyes. It was up there in P8, P9, battling away with you know, the likes of the Haas cars and Hamilton and Vettel battling through, and you know, the Toro Rossos. It was battling with everyone, the Williams cars. It was doing a really good job, solid 9th, 8th, around that position. Unfortunately missed out as he pitted before the virtual safety car, so lost out and dropped to 12th, but was running a strong race up until that point where his engine unfortunately failed, and he had to come into the pits and have it extinguished, shall we say. And that was the end of his hopes of points this weekend after a strong showing. So the result doesn't show the pace this weekend of Ericsson. Of course, he only got through into Q2 once again as well, but just missed out. And yeah, Ericsson fighting for his seat at Sauber, putting a strong showing. Too little too late, unfortunately, though, I believe. But nonetheless, Ericsson, I can't judge it on any other than a strong performance this weekend, and it's going to be another 8 points for you. Next up, Brendan Hartley. Again, issues in qualifying, and reliability of the Toro Rosso seems to have gone wayward, and retired again in the race, not due to his fault, just the engine blew up again. And Hartley was running around in 13th, 14th before that issue, so could have maybe scraped a point perhaps. Obviously he was the cause of the virtual safety car, so you know, with that, had he not been the car to cause the virtual safety car? Could he have gained places? Perhaps. Could he have scraped a point? Probably not. But nonetheless, yeah, an average weekend by Hartley, and I couldn't really judge him on his race until that point. Again, he was met with engine penalties and couldn't complete Quali 2 because of problems. So, Brendan Hartley, you are... Where are you? Where is Brendan? There's Brendan, next to Jolie Gone. Jolie well gone. Ha ha ha, he's still vanished. So, Brendan Hartley, another just 5 points there, an average weekend for you. And next up is... Nico Hulkenberg. Again, what's such a shame, running fourth, potentially could have got on the podium this weekend once again, but he had a battery issue and had to retire the car on the main straight. Early in the race again, about lap 14, 15, something like that, and just such a shame to see. Hulkenberg, 4 retirements in the last 5 races, and none of them his fault, all mechanical issues. So Renault, come on, if you want to get this constructor's position, if you want to take 6th and try and battle for 5th, you need to get your act together. There's 2 solid drivers there, and it's the mechanical issues that are letting him down, unfortunately, now. So yeah, hope you come back stronger at Brazil. So Hulkenberg, I can't do any other than just an average 5 points once again, because it was, I don't know where you'd have finished, but it was a strong race. And Daniel Ricciardo, of course, qualified 7th, had to change a load a bit. Started at the back, got his self back up to 7th, and then retired again with more mechanical issues. So the Red Bull's proving that there's still only one car can finish a race at any one time, really. So you've got a car that normally wins or finishes on the podium, and then you've got the other car that's thanks for taking part. So nonetheless, Daniel Ricciardo, once again, an average race, and it's going to be 5 points for him, because I couldn't judge him. He could have got up there into the podium places, but we don't know. So that is the roundup of the Mexican Grand Prix Cruel Wall, and I hope you did enjoy it, guys. And yeah, thank you as always for the support with this series. And yeah, look forward to seeing you in the comment section down below. And thanks a lot for watching, guys. Much love. Ta-ra!